Thank you, Chair and honorable members. I wish to make clarity on the issue of the seals.
Yes, proceed then.
One, that the sugar, when it left Mombasa, it was in containers, in the 20-foot containers. And it was received in Thika, Vine Park. And among the documents you have, there's a Vine Park, there's one which is an acknowledgement of receipt on the Vine Park letterhead dated 25th April 2023. And if I read, is acknowledgement of receipt, we hereby acknowledge having received the 40 by 20 feet containers STC condemned brown sugar on 20th April 2023. The sugar is in our safe custody as I write, and plans to initiate the destruction are at advanced stage, and signed by the director. Chair, I also wish to refer the members to a report which is part of the documents, a report on receipt, deactivation of seal condemned brown sugar at Vine Park Industries, dated 20th April 2023. If I read, we facilitated the activation of the seals and breakage of custom seals of the above mentioned 40 by 20 feet containers found to contain items in bags said to be condemned brown sugar manifested under BL number MSC UB 1175 5403 are as listed below, and there's a list of 40 containers with the details of container number, the custom seal, the custom and the truck numbers, and the report ends with the goods were received by Vine Park Industries in the presence of Kebs, National Police, DCI, AFA, NEMA, and the clearing agent. And the report is signed by Vine Park MD, Managing Director, in the presence of the officers who are in the multi-agency, and handed over to KRA, Thika Customs Office team, compiled by the manager, Thika Customs Station. Chair and members of the committee, I wish to clarify the issue of the seals and the different seals. The seals which I mentioned in the memo by Kebs are the seals that were placed in the warehouse after receipt of the goods and offloading the goods into the warehouse. And they are the two seals, 029544 and seal number 0295457, which were witnessed on 24th April 2023, were missing, and the seals which were therefore after were found when the team was notified were different, which are closer in numbers to the original seals. Chair, I submit.
So in this case, you want to state categorically that after the commodity left the station from Mombasa to Thika, then there was inspection of the process to unload from the containers to the warehouse. Is this the correct position? Because as you stated, it's like now the sugar disappeared in the warehouse after it was already unloaded from the containers to warehouse that was under the seal of the seals that you have displayed here. Is that a position?
Thank you, Chair and members. Yes, that is the position, from the report that I've just read of the multi-agency that received the sugar in Makongeni, and also looking at the documents that are supplied on the pictorials, you can see the off-roading commencing. Under the photos, there is a photo of off-roading commencing where there are a few bags of sugar in the warehouse, and then off-roading into the warehouse where there are quite a number of bags which have been off-roaded into the warehouse. Chair, I submit.
And this case, for the members' clarity, it's now very clear that the commodity never disappeared at the point of departure, which is Mombasa. The sugar disappeared at the point of destination from warehouse. That a position?
Yes.
The Vice Chair.
Chair.
Yes.
Let me state that that process is what is under investigation at the moment, but from the report that we have, that is the status.
I think up to that point, I think that is the position, members, and now it is clear that the 40 number of containers find their way all the way from Mombasa to Thika, to where it was destined, and the commodity was unloaded from the containers and stocked warehouses. And in this particular case, it's that the containers left, then we have no business with containers. Then the business now is how the commodity finds its way out of the warehouses, and under whose mandate that now the commodity left from the warehouses. Maybe for clarity, let us get to understand. These warehouses, were they belonging to this entity which was supposed to undertake this to undertake this process of conversion, or for clarity, whose warehouses were these?
Yes, before she
let her respond to that, so that we get to know. Yes, the commodity is already at Thika. At Thika, where? Has it arrived to the destination? Whose warehouses were these, where commodity was stocked?
Thank you, Chair and members. I wish to refer you to one of the documents which we have attached in the bundle of documents that we have. A letter from KRA dated 12th of April 2023 to the multi-agency.
You have any pen to refer? Number. Okay. 19. Okay. 19.
Yes.
Proceed, Madam Membi.
Thank you. If you go to the second page, this is an invitation from KRA to the various agencies, invitation to destruction of condemned brown sugar in 40 by 20 feet containers from Zimbabwe. If you look at the second paragraph, the Multi-Agency Destruction Committee meeting on 12 April 2023 resolved to release the cargo on 13 April 2023 at 9:30 hours for transportation by road to the destruction site. The cargo is to be released to Vine Park Limited and Assets and Cargo Limited for onward transportation to the premises of Vine Park Limited in Thika for distillation. Chairman, I wish to submit that this was
Proceed.
that this was the destination as indicated.
Wine Park now.
Yes.
And you confirm that the warehouse belongs to Wine Park.
Chair, given the letter that Vine Park received, which I had submitted earlier, they received and have signed that they have received the cargo.
Chair.
And I think members are a bit clear now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then you can now find a base going forward.
Yes.
Because now you are aware where the commodity finds itself going to disappear. Yes. So that going forward we can now be able to shorten. Let us proceed. Right, Chair, have your question been answered? Kindly please check whether there is some pending unanswered question from the Vice Chair, so that we can allow another round of questions from the other members.
Yes.
Yeah, and as you proceed with my question, I have just seen there's a letter that the HG wrote, clearly stating that other than this regulation you have given, there is another regulation on ESC, I think there is ESC regulations on condemnation that the AG made reference to, and it actually allows the commissioner of KRA to destroy as he deems fit. But in that process, again, it is the commissioner of customs and not Kebs. So my question still stands. Where was Kebs coming in this whole process?
Can we continue asking questions?
No. Let's allow the MD to respond to Vice Chair, so that we can sum up with that first round. Then we can allow the rest of the members, starting from Sheni, to proceed.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I wish to respond to the question by the Vice Chair in the role of Kebs in the destruction of products. The condemned goods were condemned under the Standards Act. So the law gives powers to Kenya Bureau of Standards to condemn goods that have not met the standard. And indeed, for goods that are within customs control, it is the commissioner. Hence why we have the multi-agency team to coordinate that exercise. So there are two agencies that have to play a role in terms of destruction of goods that are within customs control.
Chair,
Okay, thank you.
That's the question I'm asking. Which law are you using? Because the laws of the land are very clear.
Yes. So what I'm saying, under the Standards Act, gives Kebs powers to condemn goods that do not meet standards, right? So this Kebs did. Now, under ECMA and under the regulation that was read, it is customs, which is KRA, that has control over all the products that are in there. So the two have to work in conjunction, including even NEMA, especially in terms of destruction for environmental issues. So all those agencies play their different roles. Hence the reason why we need to coordinate. If you look at the letter from the Attorney General, he indicates that the advices that we need to have now a framework, a written down framework for, if I read the last paragraph, he says, going forward and as agreed during the reference meetings, we recommend that KRA and Kebs should work together to develop comprehensive framework to provide for disposal of prohibited and condemned goods, which may nevertheless subject to payment of import duty to be released for alternative use with the approval and supervision of the multi-agency team. So this is something that also we are also learning as we go forward, so that we also enhance the law service.
Vice Chair, are you convinced?
Okay, Chair.
Maybe as you proceed, Honorable Sheni, just for clarity, it's now confirmed that the whole team of what agency was involved in the process where the commodity was embarked now to leave the station of Mombasa all the way to the Wine Park. At that point, I think the multi-agency was working as a team. Is it? It's only that at the point of disappearance of the sugar is where it's unknown by the Kebs probably.
Chairman, let me maybe put a question to the team. First of all, I would ask. First of all, I would wish to put to the team. Was there any report made by Fine Park to the police anywhere in Dinka that their stores have been broken into and the contents vandalized? That is one. Number two, was the content tallied at the point of offloading? Other than assuming that you received empty containers. Have you checked on that? Number two, empty containers. I mean empty containers that were supposed to contain maybe 540, each container carries 540 bags. And Madam MD, have you checked that this sugar really was originating from Hulet? Because Hulet is an international company and which has got a serious social responsibility operating in Zimbabwe but domiciled in South Africa. And we have done trade with Hulet and they are a reputable company. Have you checked for sure that this sugar was sourced from Zimbabwe? Or it is a bill of lading that is giving us an impression that this sugar was actually from Zimbabwe. Number three, where is the Kenya Sugar Board in all this? Have you tried to rope in the Kenya Sugar Board? Because the Kenya Sugar Board is the one that authorizes importation of sugar. Were these people authorized to import sugar by the Kenya Sugar Board at any one point? Because are they traders or they are briefcase traders who bring anything that they get on the way without taking care of anything? Madam Chair, again we are asking, all I am asking, was anybody else other than the civil servant being looked into this game and maybe preferred for prosecution? Because I can see what we have learned is that only the civil servants who have been aligned in court or will be aligned in court, were there any other players who are involved in this? Madam Chair, on the meeting of NNC, your NNC meeting on 12th, and where you have indicated Galgamech, this is bullet 1, of your meeting held on 4th May 2022, you have indicated that Galgamech is the importer. At which point did is it Melaco? Melaco did not import, and in your point you are saying that it is Galgamech who have imported sugar. Who is the real importer in this? According to you, is it Galgamech or Melaco? According to the bill of lading, it is Melaco. According to the meeting of the NMC, the sugar is imported by Galgamech. Who is the actual importer of this sugar? Number 3, and maybe it is the last one. In this sugar that you have profiled here, and according to what traders have complained before, that when the MAT goes to surveillance check, you harass traders. You get any sugar in any supermarket, in any warehouse, you harass them that they are selling contaminated sugar without having maybe the Kebs behind this information. Because this sugar from Mumia's sugar, at that particular time, before Mumia's was stopped from production, at this particular time when these investigations were going on, Mumia's was in production. Thank you. And last one, last but not least, between Galgamech and cargo and assets, how was there any non-trade war between the two? Because every one of the two is screaming that the sugar be released to either of them.
You're done, Shani?
Yes.
Then we can proceed with the honorable member for the show.
Chair, our gadget's working.
The beauty that they are movable. You can share.
Thank you, Chair. I think we are constrained on time. Because, Chair, looking at the time, we are also supposed to be getting into the chamber anytime from now. And this is a lengthy matter that might call for our further meeting with either Kebs or the players whom we would like to find some more details on. But I have a few questions. What I'm tracing is that Kebs released the goods and they found their way to Vine Park at Thika. At that point, Customs, where Kebs was also a MAT, or was part of the MAT. Yes.
Proceed.
So, and there were seals locking the consignment at Vine Park. I think that is where I should start. Who was in charge of the warehouse? Yeah, so that we can know where the bag stops. Who failed in his or her duty for this consignment not to leave? That is why I'm saying this is just an initial meeting, because we have questions for the owners of Vine Park. I have seen someone direct account Mwangi or something, and many other players. Kebs might not, if they are aware, they can answer. So that if they are not aware, then Mwangi can come and answer to us how the consignment left, and who put the other seals, yeah, the fake seals, which now, after opening a consignment, had already disappeared. I think that is a very critical question. Are they custom seals? Or what kind of seals? And who is responsible, the custodian of those seals? That's a question I think I can answer for another day, because if they are not, please put the seals. Now, from interaction of these documents, I think there's a lot that we need to ask. It appears there were 3 consignments. There's a consignment that had been imported from Zimbabwe, and another one through a Zimbabwean company. From my documents, on the heading, I don't know whether it's the correct one, it's called Tongat Hullet. And there's another one now that was under this through ocean freight. I think the company is called Gargamesh. And out of this interaction, that's why I'm saying we need more time. There are 2 requests. The first one had been done Gargamesh in around April, around May, and that one was settled. But then we find another request now done by Cargo, a company called Cargo and Asset and Cargo. I think those are 2 different consignments. I don't know. Maybe Kebs will let us know whether they are the same or 2 different consignments. And following on that, now comes in Vine Park. Vine Park expressed interest of a condemned consignment in Mombasa. But that interest has not been put here, although it's KRA who have alluded that. There is some missing documents, especially from, but not. They are not the Kebs are not the addressee. They are not the custodian. So KRA also need to tell us this request. How did they come to know that there's a condemned consignment, so that they can express interest, and then it was delivered directly I'm reading. Actually, I was still going through the document. So there is some questions that also KRA also needs to answer to this committee on some gaps that I'm finding. And Chair, one question I would like to ask Kebs, because this is directly for them. This sugar was condemned because it didn't have a label of manufacture and expiry date. That was as at 2018. That 2022, would you confirm that this sugar, even if as at that time of petition was okay, the shelf life had already lapsed? Yeah, for that sugar. So it was not, now that it will not just be the issue of the labeling, it will also be the issue of the quality of the sugar, because it might, as at the time of importation, have had been okay, but the labeling, because the standards require you label and for the manufacturer or whatever. And surely, Kebs, would you tell us whether you've this is a matter of public interest. You've not done any sampling, some laboratory test to confirm whether the sugar that you've confiscated from wherever is
Part of.
is good for human consumption. You know, it may be good for human consumption, but it has no label. Yeah, but their standards, you know, they have to follow the regulations and the law. Yeah, even I remember the edible oil which didn't have vitamin A. It does not mean that if you take oil without vitamin A, it's unsafe. It's only that it did not comply with the requirements of Kebs for vitamin A, and it had to be condemned. On this case, have you done even a single sample to tell us whether whatever you've collected there is good for human consumption? Now, there's some person from Kebs who was in charge of the consignment, Mr. Rono Bergen, who was supposed to supervise, release, and conversion. At what point were your role curtailed? But I think that's a straightforward question, because when you went to open for the purposes of destruction or conversion, you found that the seals had already been replaced. So I think let me leave that, because it appears that it has been answered by the explanation that has been given. Do you have, is there any other consignment with KRA, held by KRA, which is also condemned? Because through my reading, I've seen that there is another consignment, 49-20 feet consignment, which is still under the custody of KRA. Could there be such a consignment so that it can be safeguarded, so that it can also not be released to the market through these processes? Chair, I think, as I'm saying, there is a lot, because I was still skimming through the documents and I've seen a lot. Probably in your wisdom as our chair, once these members ask some questions, you can indicate whether we need to proceed or we need to adjourn this sitting, because we also have an obligation to attend Parliament on some other business. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Member, for the show. And going to the lapse of time, I think we have very important business from the House, and this is very matter to do with the budget estimates. Now that this committee has to defend the departmental budget, I think it is important to also allow you to prepare yourself. And at this point, I would ask the MD to respond what is already voted. We are going to adjourn so that at least we'll give the other members that have not asked their questions another ample time to ask their questions and also seek clarities. And I shall guide at that. Let us, first of all, get those response so that we can not leave them hanging. And remember that MD, I did ask at the areas that would like a clarification whether the same 40 number of containers. This is the same sugar that was labeled the mercury sugar. But in this particular case, according to the presentation that we have received here, it is very clear that this sugar was condemned because of only one laxity, that it didn't have the dates of post-manufacture and the date of expiry. And that me, I also want to add a rider to the question of member for Rishugu, that at that point in time that we realize that actually the element of dates are a serious mistake to make or to allow condemnation of such commodity. Did you other a standard test to ascertain that the sugar was not harmful to consumer at that time? Tell us, yes. Also, there is now the related case of the mercury sugar. The mercury sugar also was a very big monster in the last parliament. And the same committee of trade did their part of their fact findings. And at that point, there was no stage that the recommendations of that committee recommended that sugar for use. Maybe, Madam Chair, if you're in capacity to respond, Madam MD, if you're in capacity to respond, tell us where that sugar vanished. Because we have no any evidence that the sugar is somewhere. So, in case this committee would like to benchmark and see this sugar, is that sugar available somewhere? Proceed, Madam Member.
Can I suggest something?
Yes.
Point of order.
Chair, I wanted to suggest that because of time and the questions she had, the MD and Kebs have to respond are quite many. And since we have to go to the floor of the House because of the agenda before the House, if maybe the remaining members can pose their questions.
Yes.
And Kebs are left to go and ponder with those questions,
Correct.
do a response,
That's
and
what we
we
want.
do another meeting perhaps on Tuesday next week at an earlier time than 12, so we can go through those questions, and as well perhaps if also we could invite Kenya Revenue Authority and maybe Weinpark or Kenya Revenue Authority first, I don't know. But that is our suggestion, Chair.
I think that's a good one.
That is-
Any member to support that proposal?
Second.
When
What is the question?
schedule? How is our this schedule? So we can put it to last. Okay. So that at least we can move after this. Let us allow members who have very valid questions to post them. All of you, very quickly, I will give you at least 2 minutes each. And after that, all the response, we shall at least adjourn so that Tuesday, the Kebs will come and so that they can finalize on their part. But going forward, order members. You're out of order. I direct that After that, Tuesday. This committee will also need to listen from the other part of KRA, and still we also need to hear from the final destination of the commodity, which was Vine Park. So I think that is the order we take, and because the time of notifying them is very short, they will not be part of Tuesday meeting, but the scheduled 7 days of window should must be added to, so that if that will fit them in the next Thursday, they cannot feel themselves. And let us move in that order and proceed, Honorable Bidi.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to do some analysis of the events which happened here, but because of time, I will not be able to do. But the way I understand, Merako was the consignee who brought the sugar, and then the Merako appointed Galgamesh in the prices to be able to negotiate on his behalf. And then Ocean Freight was to coordinate the transport. Now, where this gentleman called Intika is where came in, that was the person who was supposed to do the distillation. But now where the buck stops with the Walmart agent is that the warehouses are not bonded houses of KRA. These are owned by the park. Whoever is going to park actually was given a free hand to steal. Why did you do that, knowing that KRA was supposed to collect the taxes, and you cannot collect the taxes if you are not in the possession of the goods that you are supposed to collect the taxes? Mine is only that.
Thank you very much. That's a very valid question, because for sure, if it was issue to do with the taxes, the taxes were to be exercised at the level of the KRA bordered areas, and that was Mombasa. But there was no, unless it was a corroborated syndicate to make sure that the commodity will, at the end of the day, disappear on that way. Proceed, Honorable Sakiba.
Thank you, Chair. I think I concur with my colleagues that time cannot allow us to ask many questions. But because I'll get an opportunity next time to ask.
You can still hold your question and then prepare them well, so that you come with at least all of them on Tuesday. That's agreed.
Yeah, but let me give my observation.
Okay.
Not the question today.
Proceed.
Sorry. Thank you, Chair. I think now I'm okay. You know, this is a new thing. Yesterday in the prayer, the president of the appeal court, Justice Honorable Justice Odunga, said that the country need to forgive each other. So anyway, I just wanted to bring our minds here. On the observation, I'm really finding out, Chair,